Happy February and welcome to Behind the Yellow Door with Two Friends. I have some fun stuff to tell you this week, so come right on in. This week, Behind the Yellow Door, I'm going to talk about some things that I have found very interesting and that I have learned since we opened the Bubble Bar back in September. Now, I've got a friend, and her name is Mary Fair. And Mary Fair often complains that she has headaches when she drinks her favorite bubbles. So I asked Brandon, I said, Brandon, tell me the difference in Prosecco's and Champagnes. And so I think I have found the difference in the two and maybe what is causing Mary Fair's headaches.
Hey, Brandon here. So to respond to what's the difference between Champagne and Prosecco, two major things that could be changing the way you feel the next day. So one is sugar. Champagne in general has much less sugar than Prosecco, so that can leave you feeling a little more exhausted the next day. Another big difference is with Champagne, the bubbles are created in the bottle naturally, so you're gonna get fine, lacy bubbles. And with Prosecco, they actually pump the bubbles into the bottles. And so you have something that's a little bit less pleasurable, a little harder and more harsh. And so those are really the two big primary differences.
All right, so next question. Have you ever noticed that some champagne bottles have years on them and some champagne bottles do not?
So next, we're going to be talking about vintage champagne, one of our favorite topics here at the Bubble Bar. What makes vintage champagne? So whenever you see a vintage on a champagne bottle, that's a rare sighting, not commonly found on much champagne bottles. And that really indicates that it's an exquisite bottle of champagne and coming from a truly exceptional year in an area of the world that year after year, they don't have perfect vintages. So most of the time you're gonna see a bottle like this Krug. And so most champagne, no vintages are displayed on the bottle, and that's because they're masters of blending. And so it would normally be a symphony of vintages, all masterfully blended together. And one of the best examples is Krug here. And so one of the best things you can do with something like a bottle of vintage champagne is see if it lines up with your anniversary, maybe the birth of your daughter or son, potentially a birth year. And so come in the shop, see what vintages we have, and there might be a circumstance that we can special order a vintage or anniversary year for you if you're looking for something special.
And what in the world does Grand Cru mean?
So next we're going to talk about what makes a wine a Grand Cru. And so just talking about France in particular, we're going to talk about the three most common Grand Crus in France. So first, something that we specialize in is Champagne. What does it mean in Champagne? So you see a Grand Cru on the label, see it over there on the side? That means it's coming from the finest villages in Champagne. So Grand Cru in Champagne means best villages. Move on to Burgundy. So the most prolific Pinot Noirs in the world all come from Burgundy, and the very best of Burgundy are called Grand Cru. So you see here, Corton Grand Cru. So that's the top 2% of all vineyards in Burgundy. So vineyards, village vineyards. Lastly, the other most famous region in France is Bordeaux. So when you're talking about Grand Cru Classé in Bordeaux, it's referring to the chateau. So all different meanings. Champagne again, villages, Burgundy, vineyards, and in Bordeaux, referring to the chateaus.
Okay, so see, I thought I kind of knew what Grand Cru was. Totally blew me out of the park today with that one. Had no idea there were three different meanings. And next, do you know what was Winston Churchill's favorite champagne, and it carries the seal of the Queen?
So what was Sir Winston Churchill's favorite champagne on earth that he supposedly drank 2 bottles of a day, one for breakfast and one for dinner? He drank Paul Roger. So we have at the Bubble Bar here an excellent array of the wines he enjoyed, from small half bottles, standard, Magnum, and what they call Jeroboam, which is a 3-liter, very special. The only one left, I believe, in the state of Georgia currently is this bottle. And so talking about the opportunities, so you have your traditional white label here. This is what they're renowned for. This is their everyday champagne, meant to be enjoyed very occasionally with everything you could possibly imagine. And then you have two really special bottles that are incredibly hard to get and extraordinary. So you have Paul Roget's Vintage. So this is their black label, 2013, thought to be potentially one of the best vintages at the turn of the decade, and a great drinking place right now. We were able to secure some for you. And even more special and incredibly rare is the wine that was made to honor Sir Winston Churchill, aptly named Sir Winston Churchill by Paul Roget. Comes in this beautiful leather box here, and they only make it on rare occasions when they think the weather was absolutely extraordinary. So 2012 vintage, very long time on the lees, and a tremendous way to enjoy champagne.
And lastly, do you know what's coming up on Wednesday of this week? Y'all, I'm gonna tell you about this because I don't think Brandon will give himself enough credit for this one. But for those of you who are maybe familiar with Paul Hobbs, Paul Hobbs is a very famous winemaker. He was one of the original winemakers for Opus One. Well, on Wednesday, we are hosting a masterclass with an expert that Paul Hobbs is flying in to St. Simon's to be here in the Bubble Bar for our Paul Hobbs wine tasting. Y'all, this is an extremely exclusive event, and we were talking about it today in the Bubble Bar with some clients, and they were like, how in the world did you get that to happen? Well, I'm gonna tell you, Brandon has lots of great connections, and we are so happy that he is on our team and he is able to bring those connections together and get some really cool experiences that we are able to offer here in the Bubble Bar. We have a few seats left for Wednesday. I think Priscilla will have the information available for you at the end of the video, so stay tuned, and she'll direct you as to where you need to go to reserve your seats. Of course, it is limited seating, as you all know, so be sure to head over there quick if you think you have some time available on Wednesday night of this week. That is February the 9th at 6:30. Now, a lot of times people ask, what's involved in a wine tasting? Well, usually you get to taste anywhere from 4 to 5 wines. We provide what we call a nibble board or a little small charcuterie board, so you have wine and cheese to pair back with what we're serving. And of course, you get the expertise of either Brandon or you get the expert of someone famous coming in from one of the big wineries like Paul Hobbs, who will be leading. So a lot of great information. It's been so fun having our tastings every week, so we hope you can join us. Okay, so Brandon is actually having a fit. He's worried to death that I'm gonna drop this big old bottle of champagne. But one of the things that Brandon did not talk about just recently, and I'm gonna hold it with one hand because it's really heavy, is that the Queen Seal is on every one of those bottles. How cool is that? All right, so that's that. How fun would this bottle be for your Super Bowl party? If you're having a bunch of people over and you want to serve something really fun and have a fun conversation about, how fun would this be?
It's a tremendous talking point.
How many of these do we have?
This is the last one.
It's our last one. So if anybody wants this, you better call us quick. Now, for those of you who live far, far away, we can't ship out of the state of Georgia. I don't think I can ship anywhere in the state of Georgia. Can I, Brandon? He's my expert, thank goodness. So if you want it, we can hold it, and if you're coming to town, we'll have it here for you. And all of our February classes are live, and as we speak, Brandon's working on what's happening for March, so stay tuned. Head over to our website and you can check everything out there.